Hi, I'm Eddie of Eddie's Reef Aquaria. Today's topic is going to be about coral feeding and reef nutrition. So I'm going to talk about how do I actually feed my corals, what apparatus I used, whether it's broadcast or of course target feeding. And then I'm also going to go into the different products that I use to feed my actual corals. Plus, I'm going to add to it certain foods that are for fish, but also are also beneficial for corals. So let's take a deep dive in. Check it out. Hold on. Here we are in the table, my dining room table, and these are all the products that I use mainly for reef keeping. In other words, this is the reef nutrition that I actually put in the tank to feed the corals. So if you notice, I've separated them by brand name. So like let's say on Mondays, I go ahead and I feed by Reef Nutrition Phyto Feast. I turn off the protein skimmer, and I keep the pumps on. But the protein skimmer, I keep it off. Why? Because if I don't, it'll just skim it out. So that's what I do on Mondays. Now, Tuesday, I don't feed anything to the corals. But then Wednesday, I go ahead and I feed by Polylab the reefroids. Now, what I do is when I prepare the reefroids in a cup, I put like a cup of water, of aquarium water, and I put about, I'd say, a quarter teaspoon of reefroids. I also implement the amino acids by Brightwell Aquatics. Let me show you. I go ahead, I apply, like I was saying briefly, I mix on salt water a quarter teaspoon of reefroids, and then I add the amino acids. Now what I'm doing is I'm also adding amino acids one more day. Instead of once a week, I'm putting it twice a week. So I'll pick either, like let's say when I put the reefroids with amino acids, then I'll go ahead and then Friday I'll add another dose of amino acids. Okay, then Fridays, what I do is I apply by Reef Nutrition Oyster Feast. In the morning, the same thing, I turn off the protein skimmer, I wait 15 minutes, and then I turn it back on. Then, what I'm doing lately, because I know that people that follow me and you've been noticing that I'm having a difficulty keeping acros. I mean the sensitive acros. The green slimer is supposed to be an easier acro because it tolerates different variations of water parameters. But I noticed a little issue on it on the tips. Now, I've been researching, looking around, talking to people, and if you follow me, you'll notice that I mentioned that my water parameters are in check, which they are. I went ahead, I adjusted the lights. This is a recap of what I've been telling all of you out there on previous videos. I went ahead, I brought down my cool whites, red and green. I brought them down to 17, and then I brought them down the following week to 15%. So I know it's not the lights and it's not the parameters, because I do have stability on the tank. The tank's been up close to, I believe, 4 to 4.5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So the stability's there. And, you know, when it comes to water chemistry, the parameters, the light is stable. The rule of thumb, and I know that all of you don't just watch my channel, you watch other channels, and you're going to notice that a lot of other people, reefers, and even when you go to your LFS, you're going to notice that they're going to say that, you know, if the lights are controllable, to put them at your liking. You know, what you like to see, but I disagree with that. I mean, that's me, Eddie. What I do is I actually program the lights to what is beneficial to the actual corals, not to what I want to see. So that's why my tank, when you look at it, although this is a high-end camera where I really don't need filters, there's an adjustment for underwater and it does everything for me. So I don't have to adjust the lights, nor do I have to put an orange filter on front of the lens. But you'll notice that sometimes you will catch that I do have, the blues are higher, which I do, as you guys follow me, I do have the AB+. And I have all the royal blues and purples, UV, I have them all at 100%. But then the issue was adjusting the whites. So I brought them down, and so like I mentioned previously, it's not the lights, it's not my parameters, but I do believe that the mystery, I think it's over. It's this replenish. Because why do I think it's a trace element issue? Because last weekend I went ahead and I did a water change. I'd say like about 10 or 8% water change. I use Tropic Marine Pro. And I did notice that when I did the water change, certain targeted corals that I look at, like the hammer and other corals, and the pipe organ pipe coral, whatever you want to call it, man, it flourishes, it's opening up. My Recordia Yuma, the mushrooms had actually closed a little. Now they're opening up more. So if you research and if you follow me and you follow others, you'll notice that all of us, me and the other people out there, do say that when you do a water change, you're replenishing your trace elements, which that actually is correct. So being that and having my PO4s, my phosphates at about 10, 11, which is fine, and my NO3, my nitrates were about 10 or 8, that's perfect. So I kept scratching my head, what can it be? What can it be that I'm actually having issues to try to start keeping acros? And the conclusion that I'm coming for, it's the actual trace elements. So what I started to do, which I was applying this previously, but I stopped. I'm going to start, well, I started this week, I started to add replenish, which is a complete broad spectrum of trace elements, especially iron, zinc, and manganese. Manganese and iron are very essential when it comes to corals like Goniopora and other corals. So I started to do this. The instructions say to add it like twice a week or 3 times a week, but start with about like, for this tank or in general, start like with 10 drops. So I started to do that, and I am noticing on the hammer that it has opened a little more, and also the Recordia Yuma, which is, those two are the indicators that I'm using for lights, nutrients, and trace elements. And they are maintaining the openness, shall we call it, of the corals. So this is an added product that I'm starting to use, which I have used it previously, as I mentioned briefly before, but I'm going to start to use it again, and I'm talking about it's got all the trace elements that you can imagine. So that's basically what I use on a weekly basis, and then I relax on the weekends. So on Saturday and Sunday, I don't add none of these products that you're looking at now. I just, of course, I feed my fish 7 days a week. So now talking about that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm going to put here the other 2 items that I also use to feed fish and corals, and I'm going to show you if I go ahead and target feed, which I do it on Wednesdays when I do the Reefroids and the aminos. How do I target feed? What apparatus do I actually use? So hold on 1 second while I set up the camera and put the other products. Okay, so here we are with the other products that are beneficial also for corals. Okay, now this product, TDO, is what I'm using as the pellet foods for the fish, which I feed them on Mondays. But upon research, and videos that I check, this is an excellent food. It's made by Reef Nutrition. And this food, it comes in different sizes. And these are used actually to bring up the color on fishes. And it's very nutritional. It has, certain elements that are natural, they're freeze-dried. And as a matter of fact, the packaging is done so in this way. It looks actually like an IV or like one of those kid drinks, Ocean Spray, I think. I don't know what the product is that a lot of kids drink and all that. But the packaging is actually geared so it doesn't acquire any moisture on the pellets. So this is really a high-end food for fish. But I also found out that this product, these pellets, you can also target feed them to your corals, and it'll be very nutritional when it comes also to corals. Now, another product that I thought I mentioned is this one. This is by Brightwell Aquatics, and it's called Reef Blizzard. This is actually pellet food for corals, for anemones, all types of anemones, the regular beautiful anemones, rock anemones, and also for LPS corals. So also, not only is it for corals, but also fish can benefit from these actual pellets. They're very small, and they actually also benefit fish. Then one final thing that I thought I mentioned on this video is when I target feed, which is usually Wednesday, what do I actually use? Well, let me put these products aside. This is what I use. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's made by Kent. You can extend it if it's a huge tank. To reach, you can actually extend this, and then on the end it has this pointer, like if you're gonna feed, let's say, a fish or something. Let's say you're gonna feed a silver side for an eel or a shrimp for a fish, you can actually do that. But what you do is, I go ahead, I get a cup of water from the tank when I prepare the Reefroids with the amino acids, and I just go ahead, I bring in the liquid, and then I go to each specific coral and I target feed. So this is what I'm using to target feed my actual corals. I know there's other apparatuses there that you can actually use. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, found it interesting and educational and fun. And remember, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button and that little notification bell. And like I say at the end of all of my videos, happy reefing, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.